Hey guys, Rage Quitting here. I get this question a lot about which Marauder spec is the best for PvP, and so I kind of just wanted to dive into all three of the specs and give my breakdown of all three, their strengths and weaknesses, and then help you guys decide which spec is the one that you guys want to play. But let's just start off with the most popular right now, Fury. And the reason why Fury is the most popular right now is because of the CC immunity on Gravity Vortex. Whenever you use your Force Crush, it gives you 6 seconds of immune to CC, and it can happen once every 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds, if you time this right, you will be immune to CC for 6 seconds. And then also another reason why Fury is popular is because of the skill Obliterate. It's another leap. It's a second leap. It has a 10-meter range on it, and it also deals a good amount of damage, especially if it crits. But it's just an extra leap. It's an extra gap closer, and you can use this leap to get on top of snipers or gunslingers that are in cover. When your force charge you can't leap to a sniper or a gunslinger when they're covered with your regular force charge, but with Obliterate you can. Okay, and then the other reason why this spec is popular is because of the upfront burst damage. And what I mean by that is, so this isn't a guide. If you wanted to see a guide on Fury Marauder, you can just check it out. I made one already, but just to recap, basically, every time you use a leap and a berserk or a force crush, you get a big damage bonus to your next raging burst or smash. Okay, and I'll show you the upfront damage right here. Okay, so it takes very little setup. All you gotta do is hit your frenzy and hit your berserk, or you just leap in and use a force crush, okay, and then your next raging burst does a lot of damage. So here I'll do an example right now. Raging burst, and then Fury Strike, okay, for big upfront burst damage, okay, and then you go ahead and set up your next burst with another leap and then a force crush, and then you can use your raging burst and Fury Strike again. Okay, so Fury Marauder, immune to CC, has an extra gap closer with Obliterate, and then also has good upfront burst damage right away. Alright, next up is Annihilation Marauder. Annihilation Marauder has very good bleed damage. It has weapon damage and bleed damage, but most of the damage comes from stacking the bleeds. So you have Rupture, which has no cooldown. As long as you have Rage, you can continue to put Rupture on your target. It does weapon damage, and then it bleeds afterwards. So there's that, and then you have Force Rend, which is another bleed damage skill, but it also builds Rage. So, and then your other ability that allows your melee hits to put stacks of bleed damage on your target is Deadly Saber. So basically, in Annihilation, you leap in, you apply your dots, you turn on Deadly Saber, and you continue to hit your target and stack all the bleeds. And then if there's other people standing around, then you can spread the bleeds with your smash. So it doesn't have CC immunity. It doesn't have that extra gap closer, but it does have just a lot of bleed damage. And the advantages to Annihilation is that those bleed, the damage from your bleeds heals you for 15% of the damage that it deals. And then also your Berserk makes your bleeds auto crit, and then that bleed damage from your Berserk will heal your team, yourself and your team. So basically all you do with this, you leap in, turn on your Deadly Saber, put your bleeds on the target, and then just use your weapon damage skills. And then when the bleeds fall off, you reapply your bleeds, turn on Deadly Saber, and then continue to go from there. Okay, and then you can spread it with your smash. So as far as the rotation goes and stuff like that, I think Annihilation is pretty simple. You get in there, you apply your bleeds, and you smash as often as you can when there's more enemies standing near you. Okay, and then you also get procs on your dual saber throw, which increases the damage that your dual saber throw does. So when you see it light up, you just go ahead and throw it, and you get extra damage there. The advantages to Annihilation is that it has the potential to deal more damage than Carnage or Fury, but you have to have the right environment for it, right? Like you need to have a lot of players around so that you could stack bleeds on a single target, and then spread them around with your smash. If you're doing this, then it's pretty easy to deal a very high amount of damage. But once again, no CC immunity, and the damage from this isn't as obvious, I guess. So the damage kind of sneaks up on your enemies, because you do a couple skills, but it's not really burst damage. It's bleed damage, right? So sometimes people are not expecting a whole bunch of damage to come through, and then all of a sudden, when you have all your dots rolling on your target, all of a sudden their health just drops, suddenly, and then it takes them by surprise. And then also, since your bleeds heal you, you can sustain yourself in fights a little bit better, and it takes just a little bit more to kill you. And so this spec is really good when you're, especially like 1v1s. It takes more to bring you down just because of the self-healing and stuff. Alright, so Carnage Marauder. Carnage Marauder to me is the fastest spec and the hardest one to master, just because of the setup. There's a little bit more setup to your burst, and then there's a little bit more priority as far as using your burst windows. So in Carnage you get Ferocity, which gives you 2 stacks of 100% armor pen. If you use Ferocity while Berserk is active, then you get 3 stacks of 100% armor pen. So, and the setup to the burst, it takes a little bit of time. So instead of Fury, where you just buff yourself, you jump in and then you use Raging Burst and Fury Strike, and you hit for a lot of upfront damage. The burst window in Carnage is a little bit more set up, so I'll show you right now. So we're gonna leap in, we're gonna Ravage, we're gonna use our Battering Assault, and then try and get some procs for our Devastating Blast, and then we are going to use Ferocity, and then dump our heavy hitting abilities. Okay, so here we go. There we go. We got our procs, then we're gonna Ferocity, and then dump our heavy hitting abilities. Okay, like this. Okay, so you'll see bigger numbers on your big hits in Carnage than you will in Fury, I think, because of that 100% armor pen, as long as you're proccing your skills. But you see how that burst was set up, right? I have to leap in and have to make sure I get my procs, and then I use Ferocity, and then go ahead and dump my big hitting abilities. Okay, but Carnage is fast. It feels the fastest. And then while your Berserk is active, you get 30% alacrity boost. So if you, for example, let's say I use a Force Choke, right? Right now the cooldown is 51 seconds. Okay, but if I use my Frenzy and I Berserk and then use my Force Choke, I can get a lowered cooldown on my Force Choke. See, like this? See, it lowered it by 10 seconds. Now it's 41 seconds. Okay, because that alacrity boost will play into the use of your Force Choke. So this is what makes Carnage Marauder really strong. You can, and especially if you take this point here, Strangulate, you can reduce the cooldown of Force Choke by 15 seconds. So it'll, if you take this point and you use Force Choke while your Berserk window is open, then you can have the cooldown on your Force Choke like 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds you can have a Force Choke. So every 30 seconds somebody's gonna get hard stunned and killed, basically. And Carnage has the best 100 to 0 burst potential because of the armor pen. You jump in, you set up your burst, then you hit Berserk, you choke the guy, and then you just hit Ferocity, and then boom boom boom, dump all your heavy hitting abilities. Yeah, so those are the advantages of Carnage, but I feel like Carnage is the harder spec to play. It takes a little bit longer to master. But yeah, so that's Carnage. Alright guys, I'm going to get on the operations training dummy here and show you guys a parse, single target parse of all 3 specs so you guys can see the damage. Okay. Alright, Annihilation is up first. Here we go. Okay, so 9.9 damage, 9.9k damage per second, and I kind of messed up on the rotation a little bit, but whatever. So there's Annihilation. Okay, here we go with Carnage. Okay, 50 seconds to kill a 500,000 health target, 10.1k DPS. Okay, just a little bit more than Annihilation. But remember, Annihilation does a lot more when there's more targets around because of the dot spreads, right? But that was single target versus single target. Okay? And I messed up on the rotation again a little bit, but whatever. Okay, guys. Here we go with Fury Marauder. Okay, 52 seconds to kill the 500k health target, 9.6 single target DPS. Messed up again on the rotation, but whatever. It's just a little sample of how each rotation looks like and what the skills look like and their average amount of damage that they do. I'm not going to continue to do parses to get like the perfect parse for you guys, but anyway, Annihilation came out with 9.9 single target, Carnage came out with 10k single target, and then I ended up with 9.6k with Fury single target. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to talk about certain advantages and disadvantages for each spec. So with Fury, I already mentioned you have CC immunity upon use of Force Crush once every 30 seconds. The other advantage with Fury is that you could use your Obliterate, that leap, to leap onto targets that you otherwise wouldn't be able to leap onto with your regular force charge. For example, snipers and gunslingers, when they're in cover, you cannot leap to them with force charge, but you can leap to them with Obliterate. It has a shorter range than your leap, but it's still a way to gap close onto them. So those are the advantages of Fury. Because if you think about it, if you were playing Carnage or Annihilation, you just wouldn't be able to leap on them at all. You'd have to gap close by either running up to them or using a mad dash or something like that. Okay, let's go into Carnage. The advantages with Carnage is that you get that alacrity bonus. Your Berserk will give you a buttload of alacrity, so you can use that to decrease the cooldowns of certain skills, like your Force Choke, and having a Force Choke every 30 seconds. And then you have that 100% armor pen on your skills. If you use Ferocity, your armor pen window during a Berserk, then you actually have 3 skills that have 100% armor pen instead of just 2. So to me, like, while I'm playing it, I think Carnage has the biggest potential for 100 to 0 burst, you know, on a single target. Carnage definitely has the best single target burst damage, while Fury is a pretty close second. But yeah, nothing has, you know, the biggest burst like Carnage does with that 100% armor pen. Okay, and then the resets on your Vicious Throw. Okay, so those are Carnage's advantages. Okay, then let's go into Annihilation. The advantages with Annihilation is that your bleeds heal you. It can do more overall damage. It has the potential to do more overall damage than either of the other two specs, but the conditions need to be right. You need to be able to dot spread in group fights, and yeah, that's basically it. Just be able to continue to dot spread and continue to use your Annihilates. Okay, but yeah, those are the three specs. Those are the differences. Those are their strengths and, you know, weaknesses. Hopefully you guys can come up, you know, on your own which spec you want to play and which one suits your play style more. But you just gotta play all three to find out which one is the best for you. But I hope this video helped a little bit toward your decision. And thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you on another one. Peace.